Hi everyone, Peter here from Flow High Performance, and in this video we'll be exploring how to program power training for field sport athletes. Before we delve into programming power training, we first need to establish what power training is. Power training essentially refers to moving external loads as quickly as possible with ballistic movements. Ballistic exercises refer to movements that have no deceleration phase. This means that the athlete continues to accelerate through the entire range of motion without coming to a stop. Some examples of ballistic exercises include jumping variations, medicine ball throws, and Olympic weightlifting variations. These exercises all force the athlete to involve ballistic muscle actions. Power training can be used with both heavy and light loads and anything in between. The load we use will determine what area on the force-velocity relationship we are training. Heavier loads will involve higher force outputs but slower movement velocity, while lighter loads will involve lower force output but faster movement velocity. However, it should be noted that no matter what load on the spectrum is used for power exercises, the intent should always be to move as fast as possible. Now that we have covered what power training is, we need to understand what benefits power training has for field sport athletes. Power training replicates the ballistic nature of many movements that are seen in field sports while using additional load. For example, the explosive nature of power training may transfer positively to vertical jumping ability and acceleration performance because of the similarity in muscle actions. Since an additional external load is also used during power training, it provides a slightly different stimulus, allowing the athlete to train with higher force outputs than unloaded athletic movements. This can train the athlete to apply higher forces when they are performed during the sport. We will now explore how power training can be programmed for field sport athletes. Let's create a basic mesocycle for a field sport athlete at 3 different times of the year. During the early preparation period, heavier load power training should be used to emphasize force output. By emphasizing force output early in the athlete's preparation, it builds the foundation of strength so that later in the year, it potentiates the lighter loaded power training. A mesocycle in the early preparation period may look something like this. As we can see here, the squat jump has been chosen as our power exercise, which we will keep consistent for the rest of the video to easily see the progression from mesocycle to mesocycle. The load used is heavy, meaning that jump height and movement velocity won't be very high. The load and reps remain the same each week, although the number of sets performed increases. This is because in the early preparation period, athletes generally want to follow an accumulation progression, so volume increases to support this model. During a later stage in the athlete's physical preparation, moderate load power training should be used, with a balance of force output and movement velocity. This should use lighter loads than the previous mesocycle, meaning that velocity will be faster and force output will be lower. A mesocycle in the late preparation period of the year may look something like this. As we can see here, the squat jump has been used again as a power exercise. The load used is now moderate rather than heavy, meaning that jump height and movement velocity will be slightly faster than the previous mesocycle. In this mesocycle, the sets and load remain the same each week, while the number of reps increases. This follows an intensification progression model, as this model is appropriate for this time of the year. The sets are lower in the first week of the mesocycle, since this is an unloading week. And finally, when the athlete needs to be in peak condition, light load power training should be used to emphasize movement velocity. This is the most specific form of power training field sport athletes can implement, meaning it should have the highest transfer to performance. A mesocycle of power training during a peaking period may look something like this. Once again, the squat jump has been implemented as a ballistic exercise. The load used is light, meaning that jump height will be greater and movement velocity will be faster. In this mesocycle, the load remains the same while the sets decrease each week and the reps increase. This follows a realization model of progression, as this is appropriate for a peaking period. The reduction in volume should allow fatigue to dissipate, while the increase in reps makes it more specific by increasing repeatability of effort. Thanks for watching, and hopefully you got something out of this video. Remember to subscribe if you haven't already.